Hey, it's Dave. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what everyone seems to be posting about, which was this article about the death of the electric guitar. So it seems to me that in these times, people seem to be a little devoid of reality. And by that I mean, it's like someone could lose an election and they try to come up with 1,000 different reasons as to possibly why they lost instead of the obvious one. In fact, you have to really work at it to try to figure out why when you avoid or you're trying to ignore the obvious. So when I saw this article, actually I saw the article before I saw people start posting about it, and it was about the death of the electric guitar, and instantly I already knew what this was. This was the same thing as the Russians hacking electric guitars. Because what you have is an industry that refuses to admit that they're doing anything wrong and that they're not capitalizing or figuring out how to make money. So I'll give you a few stories. So I went into Guitar Center last week because I wanted this microphone right here, which is a Polson USB mic. Sounds really good. I have, if you can see right back over here, right there, that's a Blue Yeti mic. It's cool. It doesn't sound better than this one though, so I like this one better than that. They both have the same frequency, 20 to 20, but this one just sounds nicer, and that one seems to distort a little bit easier. So I wanted to buy an arm, like so I could have it off, like a broadcast, like they would at a radio station and whatnot. So I go into Guitar Center. Oh no, we don't have that. You have to order that online. Well, I can tell you, if I'm going to order it online, I'm not ordering it from you. I'll just go on eBay and order it from somebody that's either manufacturing it out of China and get the exact same thing. I mean, it's just, they've given up. And they do that because the company at some point back, and I probably blame this as far back as Larry Thomas, they were bean counters. And Ray Shears and the guy who started a Guitar Center, what was his name? Wayne Mitchell. When they started the company, they started it with the knowledge and the love of getting people gear, knowing what was hot, what wasn't hot. I mean, Wayne Mitchell was a very hands-on guy. He would go to companies and be like, this works and this works, but I'm not carrying that. We'll carry this. And I'm not doing that, I'm doing this. And they were very much on, like he knew back in the 80s, when all the shred guitars and stuff were capitalizing, he was putting money into all kinds of stuff, and he knew what was selling, and they were hot. That company was the company to go to. When you're in Hollywood area and you talk about the golden days of late 70s, early 80s Guitar Center, that place was booming because they knew what people wanted. So what ends up happening is, so now the bean counters came in. After Ray Shears, they brought in Larry Thomas. And, Larry's, trying to bring the company public. And since then, it's all about the bean counters. And when I say that, I mean the guys who just care about how to make the dollar. That's all they care about. They don't understand the business. They see a Strat and they're like, well, if you're making a Strat, we'll take that Strat, because those will sell. But they don't understand that they're not selling, that they're just buying the same thing that's going to sit on their wall. And they're not in touch, and they don't have their finger on the pulse, and they're not getting people excited. So the first part of the equation of why guitar sales are down is, you go into a store and there's nothing going on. There's nothing to even get you excited. Sure, you're selling beginner packs, but why would I walk into a store when I can go on the internet and find it for cheaper delivered to my house? I don't even have to leave. I don't have to walk out the door. It's like, it really makes it so you don't want people to deal with that experience. Well, that's only partial of the reason of what's going on with electric guitars. There's another thing that we have that happens a lot as well. And, it's funny. We've talked before about relic guitars and and mint guitars or NOS or even just guitars that are dead mint. If you buy a relic guitar because you really like that feel and you want it beat up, the cool thing about it is you're going to treat it like an old guitar. You're going to throw it on your bed. You're going to throw it on the stand at a gig. You're not going to baby it. The reason is because that guitar is what it is. Another ding, what are you going to do? Raise the value of it? You're not going to bring it down. Somebody's not going to look at it and go, well, this Nick is what Fender did, but you did this. No one would know. Doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the actual cost. Why am I bringing this up? Because when PRS first came out, PRS sold like crazy. And they have beautiful fit and finish. So much so, I would call that guitar an under-your-bed guitar. Most people that own them aren't taking them out to every gig. They play it special occasions. It's a $4,000 guitar. They're keeping it under their bed. There's no nicks on it. So when they go to sell it, and it's on Craigslist, or it's on eBay, or it's on Reverb.com, these guitars are selling like mint at a much bigger reduced price. Getting back to Guitar Center in that equation, or any store. So, let's just say, hypothetically, I sell you a guitar. You buy a Strat off me and you paid $1,000. And let's just say the guitar cost to me was $700. So I made $300 off you. You bought it for $1,000 and the list price was $1,400. That's how you know I paid $7, because you can just cut it in half. It's a 50 mark. So now you bring it back to me a year later and you're like, I want to sell this guitar back to you. I'm going to buy that used guitar with a formula that is 50% off wholesale. So the wholesale price to me was $700. I'm going to give you $350 for that guitar. That's the formula that the stores use. Now, back in the 70s and in the 80s, this was, even in the early 90s, this is okay. Because what are you going to do? You're going to shop me? You're going to go put it in the recycler? You're going to go, no. There's nothing for you to do except try to either keep the instrument or get rid of it at that price. Or try to sell it on your own, which would be a complete pain in the ass. Today, not so much. So today we have, you want to put it on Craigslist, you could sell it at, you can get it for $800. You could offer it you could sell it for $700 and sell it all day. I'm offering you $350. So in those days, it was fine because the weight of the value of, well, I'm offering you $350, but is it worth the pain in the ass? Well, then you could weigh it out, and sometimes it was worth it, and sometimes it's not. Today, it's never worth it, because I can put it on Craigslist and have it sold in 2 minutes. But what did I lose as a store? Well, see, Guitar Center or your mom and pop shop, when somebody comes in and they want to buy a used instrument and they want a deal on it, not only are you losing all that used market, but these people buy add-on stuff. And how do you get them into your store in the first place? So if I go into Guitar Center and there's one in Braintree, Mass, and if I look at that used wall, it looks like, it's never anything great, but whatever. But if somebody was, I look at it once or twice and I've never seen anything that I would care about. But the point of the matter is because the used market has gone bye-bye to them. They don't really care about it. But what it does is the people that are coming in to look at used gear would buy strings, stands. They start to buy and they become shoppers and then they become regulars. And this is how you develop a business. But instead, you have the bean counters that look at it like, well, this is the worth of the money and this is that. And they don't look at it like, well, you've got somebody in your door. When I was running my sales team at West LA Music, my goal is how do I get them in the door? Once I get them in the door, I can talk to them. We can have fun. I don't have to sell them a guitar, but we can talk guitars. And who doesn't love to talk guitars? That's why you're watching me here. We're talking guitars. It's fun. It's what we love. But the thing is they miss the boat on that. So they're missing all that stuff. Like Reverb, Craigslist only exists because somewhere in somebody's head years ago in the business that this 50% of wholesale is the formula to buy used gear. And it's bullshit. because what you're doing now is you're just making yourself a loser. Who makes the money? Well, Reverb takes their percentage, PayPal will take their percentage if it's eBay, and if it's Craigslist, Craigslist makes out because they're using the ads and whatever. I don't even know how the hell they're making money, but whatever. But you're on Craigslist, and that's how you're making money. I can't even tell you how many things I bought on Craigslist. Just a hooker last night. No, I'm just kidding. Folks, I have to throw in some comedy here because if I don't make myself laugh. No, seriously. Yeah, she wasn't a hooker. At least that's what she told me when I handed her the 300. So anyways, but the point is, you have a whole side of this business that everyone's neglecting. One of the funny things that I find is the NAMM show. Because I find that most stores don't know jack shit about their gear or what people want. And the manufacturers, they have no clue what people want. So what's the best thing to do? Let's have a trade show where we shut out the actual end consumer, and we're only going to bring in the stores and tell them what we're making so both of us can be blind like with a stick and not have any clue to what people want, and you shut people out. The people that should be going to the NAMM show, forget about the stores. I know the idea is to sell it to the end consumer, but the point is if you bring the end consumer in at that point, you would actually get some feedback that you could actually fix stuff, make the stuff that people want, and then call the stores because people will be flooding to the stores. But they're not. It's a whole ass backwards system. There should be an equal amount of regular people walking into that place because I've gone into that place and the Ibanez booth can attest to it. They know me over there at Ibanez, Tom, the guy who runs that. We've had many talks about their bases and whatnot. And one year the guy said to me, why won't you carry them? And I gave him a whole big spiel. But I looked at, when I ran the store, I looked at myself as the end consumer. If I wouldn't buy it, why do I want it on my wall? I don't. If I'm not into it, and if I'm not seeing the company do something to make people excited about it, again, why am I doing the work for you? I don't want it. When I was dealing with Fender, I wanted all their custom shop stuff. I think that stuff's hot. You don't like a relic? Here's an NOS. Here's a closet classic. Here's a custom classic. Here's a heavy relic, here's a light relic, whatever it is you want, it's there, and they're exciting. And you can call the custom shop, and I can't remember the guy's name who I used to deal with over there, but you want to call them, you want to pick what colors you want, you can order any of the old vintage colors you want. It looks fantastic. Otherwise, you can get the USA stuff, and it's going to come in sunburst, Olympic white, candy apple red, or black. Just this year they changed. They came out with an army green and some other color. And yeah, it looks all right. But it's like, really? I mean, there's so much stuff that they could be doing. And they don't talk to the end user. And they don't know. And, they even have this thing where you go on their website. They want you to get excited. You can pick between 3 different things. Oh, you can make your own guitar. Bullshit. It's not making your own guitar. It's I feel like when you're on that website, you're talking to Steve Martin and the Jerk. You can order anything from here to here, here to here, here to here. I mean, it's insane. Oh, yeah. What tuners do you want? Yeah, you can order this one or this. It's well, that's not a custom guitar. You're basically giving me the choice of if I wanted a deluxe or a standard. Yippee. It's silly. And anyways, getting back to the NAMM show, I find the show to be hilarious because you go there and it's pardon my expression, it's a cocksucking fest. You're basically going to Gibson, oh, you guys are great. The stores go there and grovel to them while they tell them all their stuff's great. Meanwhile, no one's going to tell them that their setups from the factory are absolutely abysmal. And they're inconsistent as hell. No one's giving anybody real feedback. And what happens, it's I'll tell you what happens. The sales go down. People don't want to deal with stores. If they're going to pay prices, they'd rather buy them used on the used market. And then they're like, it's the death of the electric guitar because we don't have a guitar hero. Now, I saw somebody else's video. I can't remember if it was Music Is Win. He seems like a real nice guy. But, yeah, Steve Vai might sell some guitars for Ibanez. I'm sure they do really well. But for the most part, a lot of the guitar players that he named that are guitar heroes today are not really viable, sellable to the mass market. I mean, you have to understand. It's like Jimmy Page sold a lot of Les Pauls just by playing them. Eddie Van Halen sold a lot of Super Strats. He wasn't just selling Kramers. Everyone was buying Super Strats because of Eddie Van Halen. That's more what, when people say there are no more guitar heroes, what they're talking about. They're not talking about Joe Satriani plays the JS2000. It's great from Ibanez. Yeah, he might sell a few of them. No one's really running out and buying them in the company. And it's not helping an industry. Everyone now is so branded and so Jimmy Page now has made in the past, he's made the Les Paul. They have the Jimmy Page Les Paul, and he signed limited deals with them. But when he was out there playing, he was playing a Telly, and he was playing as a Les Paul, and he wasn't endorsed with them, saying to everywhere he went that that's his guitar and this is his signature model. It wasn't like that. And Eddie, when he came out, I remember when they had the old ad for Kramer, and he was holding a Beretta, but it was really it was an ad for a Beretta, but I believe it was a Pacer. It wasn't really even a Beretta. It was that white Pacer with the Beretta headstock. But for the most part, Eddie was a Kramer guy, but he changed and became like, it was like a whole industry. The whole Super Strat thing came out. Hendrix came out, he was playing Strats, so everyone loved Strats and associated with Hendrix. But you didn't see Jimi Hendrix with his own signature Strat back in the day. He was playing, he had that 63, the Olympic white one, 63, and I think he had a 68. So as far as today, they say they're on Denny, and I don't know if I totally agree with that. I mean, I think things change and music changes. And, Taylor Swift sold an awful lot of acoustic guitars to little girls. And good on her, because she's playing music. I forget what they call those pants that has the padding in the ass to make your ass look fat. But I'm sure that rapper girl, I can't think of her name right now. I don't know why I'm blanking. I'll put it down there, but I forget her name. But I'm sure she sold a lot of them, even though she's not endorsing them. Or Kim Kardashian, for that matter. I mean, for the most part, I think there's plenty of good music being made. What's that band? The guy plays a cow, Banshee. Rebel Sons? No. Something Sons. Begins with an R. I can't think of what they're called. But anyways, he plays a cow, Banshee. And most people look at it, looks like a Gibson Firebird. And speaking of Gibson Firebirds, I remember when Paul Stanley played the Firebird 1 with the single pickup, or Johnny Winter playing a Firebird. There are so many people, and back then they weren't like these guys who were like, this is my signature model. They were just out playing guitar. And I think, so today I think the market kind of hurt itself by making everyone have these signature models, because I don't think signature models really sell a lot. Yeah, you'll sell them to kids and whatnot, but it's like, if I wanted a Jimmy Page Les Paul, if I wanted it to look just like Jimmy Page, I would just buy a 58 and remove the back cover off the humbucker in the back, the bridge. It would look like a Jimmy Page. What do I need? And if I wanted to put split the pots and coils, I could do that too. Whatever. But I don't need to go spend an extra $10,000 so Gibson can say, well, this is his signature one. Well, shit. Come on. It is such a silliness involved in the business that, again, you have the bean counters doing it. You have so many of these people that are out there that are in the business that don't have any idea. And again, like I said, the NAMM show that everybody wants to go to, except for people who work in the business. When I worked and managed the store, I hated going to the NAMM show. It's like walking into a Guitar Center times 100. People show you new stuff, and it's all the same old shit. There's nothing new. Oh, look, Strats have a new color. I'm so glad I paid $20 for parking. I'm eating these gross, disgusting hot dogs so I can see that new color before anybody. Oh, this book that has the color in it, you could have just mailed this to me and I could have read it while I was on the toilet. It sucks. The show sucks. But if you allowed more of the people to go in, more of the crowd, the fans, the end users, the people who are actually talking to the manufacturers, talking to them, might actually get a little bit of understanding of what people are asking for instead of trying to do it through the store, which, at the end of the day, I don't even know what the hell they're even doing. And it's funny because it's like, if you were to look at internet sales, and I remember when they first started selling guitars on the internet, and everyone was like, no one's going to buy a guitar on the internet, you want to play it. And I was like, yeah, who wants to deal with a store? I could totally see it. As long as you can send it back if you don't like it. Before you know it, bing, and of course, with the whole advent of, the CNCs being used, and everything's got a 1/10,000th of an inch of tolerance. Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, it's not like the instruments. What I love is, you can buy like one of these old Fenders, these relics, and it's like, oh, this is just like back in 1956. Well, those were inconsistent back then. I'd rather take a new one with a, of course, even the new relics have the 9.5 radius. They've ended up getting away from having it exactly like them because they realized that that's not really what people want. They wanted them modified with the 9.5, the five position switch. You got a guy like Norm's Rare Guitars, Norman up there in, I think he's Reseda, and Mark Agnesi, who works for him, who used to work with me. And Mark's a great sales guy. He gets it. And these guys are mainly selling used guitars, and they're killing it. I mean, they're absolutely killing it. If you were to read the article to them, they would probably look at you like, huh? What? We're too busy. We can't even read the article because we're busy. We don't have time to read your stupid article.
Homer, I'm sorry you're mad at me, but this isn't personal. This is business.
Business, eh? Well, let me tell you something. You just lost yourself a customer.
What? I'm sorry, Homer, I couldn't hear you.
I said you just lost yourself a customer.
What?
You just lost yourself a customer.
Homer, you're gonna have to speak up.
You just lost yourself a customer, Mo.
I forced myself to what?
You just lost yourself a customer.
Homer, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You just lost yourself a customer.
But it's the same thing. It's this whole denial of like, I don't know what the hell we're doing. We, guitar sales, we can't figure out how to get people back into our stores. We've lost our way. We can't get people to buy anymore. We don't know what's going on. Therefore, it must be the fault that there's no guitar heroes selling guitars. Yeah. Maybe the Russians are hacking your stores. Why should you take any blame for it? Why should you take any accountability for it? I would just say the Russians have been hacking the guitar sales. Attention, Russians are hacking guitar sales. 17 guitar shops agree. It's like ridiculous. Anyways, bottom line is the guitar is not going anywhere. It's doing fine. There's millions of dollars trading hands every day, selling guitars, buying used guitars. Yes, music has changed. The world has changed music-wise. The pop music is absolutely awful. Songwriting is terrible. I mean, I don't even get Adele. I don't get it. I don't think those are songs. I don't understand them. They don't make me want to play music. I don't think they're well-written songs. I just don't know why people are buying this shit. And if you listen to like 70s songs, and it's like some of these chords and the voicings and the melodies are so great. So, I mean, I just don't know, But there are some bands out there that are doing it, and there's music to get excited about, and there's great stuff to play. And if you feel you have a store or you're in the business of selling guitars but they're not selling, it's you. You're the problem because you haven't figured out how to get people into your store and how to get people excited. Anyways, I've ranted and raved like a lunatic long enough. But anyways, this has been fun. I hope you guys liked the video. Don't worry about the guitars. I mean, I don't think anyone is actually worried about it. It's like, a ridiculous. I think that article comes out every year too. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen the article for guitar centers going out of business. I think I've seen that every year since 2010. Somebody writes an article how they can't sustain themselves. And somehow they are. And like I said, I mean, occasionally I go in there to look at stuff, mainly because it's next to a Five Below, and I love candy. Guitar Center should be thanking Five Below, or try to open up below next to a Five Below every time in every town, because then they can sit there and have these cheap candies in there, and people will go, oh, let me take a look at what's going on in guitars. I'll tell you another thing is, it's like, oh, these sales are down. Go call Warmouth and order parts. See how long it takes. Everyone's building their own guitars. They're crazy busy. They're a thriving company, and they do great stuff, and they make great stuff. So until those other guys get their shit together, take my advice, buy Warmouth.
Okay, I'll buy from you. Oh, that's... What?
That's enough from me. I'm out. Have a great day. Have a great night. Hopefully you're watching this at night and you've fallen asleep already, and right now my voice is just the equivalent of like the old static after the national anthem on late night TV. But anyways, have a great day. Very good.